Are you doing full arch implant dentistry in your practice? I'm here with Dr. Alex Plains, an amazing dentist, key resource and sponsor. We have a course coming up in Fort Lauderdale, which we're going to talk about. But Alex, thanks so much for joining me. And I always like to start with this. It's always about the impact. These cases, full arch dentistry, transforming smiles. Tell me about the patient impact. Tell me a little bit about when these people are done, why they say it was worth the money, Dr. Plains, it was worth the time. I was scared to do it, but I'm so glad, because as dentists, we need wins, and I know these cases are wins. So tell our audience about that.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Goodman. So basically, I got into full arches back in 2017, 2018. I was doing a lot of overdentures, but I was looking for more of a permanent solution for patients. So that's when I started researching and doing more training on full arches. And what's impactful about doing full arches is the immediate results that you can give these patients and how you can impact their lives. Like, I literally just had a patient 30 minutes ago come and give me a huge hug, just in temporaries, right? Because you're giving people new smiles within 48 hours, and it's so impactful. And a good statistic for everyone to realize is the days of removable partials, trying to do MacGyver moves in order to save all these teeth that have hopeless prognosis. As you know, Dr. Goodman, like, there's 60% of the population that needs a procedure like this done at one point of their lives.
I love that sharing. And I want to ask you, how many hugs have you gotten from class 2 composites? I'm at 0. Have you got any? So another thing about being a dentist, I say this to people who want to go into dentistry, you have to be ready to offer stuff that people don't want to buy, people don't want to pay for, and people don't like you for. Except this type of dentistry, I don't think we can relate, because currently you and I have working teeth. Maybe one day we won't. But when people can't chew food, when people are embarrassed to smile, when people don't want to go out of their house, this transformative thing in 48 hours, it's emotional, it's nutritional, it's self-confidence. And many dentists out there are just not aware that this can be done. What would you say to those dentists? We're going to get into your training in a minute, but if they were just going to go into their office tomorrow and be able to mention stuff to patients about this, what would you encourage them to do?
That's a great point you brought up. And I love how you said, Dr. Goodman, the emotional part of dentistry. I think in the future, in order to build and grow in dentistry at this point, and with all these changes happening with artificial intelligence and smile designs and, printed temporaries and printed mock-ups, you got to get into digital dentistry and do procedures like this to not only impact your patients, but the surrounding communities.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I don't do these cases at your level, but I was trained in doing this in my residency 2005 as a GPR resident. And one of my patients, who I still see today, Alex, when he was interviewed for a video, goes, it was really nice to get top of the line dentistry in this small town in New Jersey, because dentistry has a small town feel, and many patients can't travel 2 or 3 hours away to get it. So you're able to train your dentist through your program how they can go back to their offices and start doing this. So
exactly. One more thing that I want to say,
right,
which I wanted to state it in the, I was talking about other things, is how with this type of procedure, dentists are so skeptical about doing a full arch. They're like, oh my God, we're having to extract every single tooth, or you're going to have to make, you're going to put implants. Are patients really going to be okay with that? One thing I got to tell them is that there's so much, you can do oral sedation, you can do IV sedation. The patient experiences minimal pain, honestly. For the first 48 hours, everything just gets better. And the success rate's over 98% for this procedure for the patient. So if you're thinking about, like you said, building a brand and being a great dentist, you have to be able to do these type of procedures, because if not, you're just going to be in the new patient mill for the rest of your life, and you're not going to be building long-lasting relationships.
and the point you made, which was such a good one, is over the course of the next decade, there's just going to be more people need this. I have a surgical prosthodontist in my office, and he's like a superhero like you, and we plan these cases, and it's so much fun. And listen, not everyone can afford it the first day you tell them about it, but their teeth don't magically get better maybe the next year. So it's just you're prepping for creating that brand you talked about, help being a community leader, and really having more fun. So let's talk about this next. You are someone who does this every day. It's not a contest. I always say it's not a contest. It's just for context, right?
Of course.
So I like playing basketball, and I actually am good at 3-point shots. And I made 43 threes in junior high. And I actually can go out and shoot 3-point shots. So I can
Wow.
put my money where my mouth is now. How many arches are you doing monthly in your clinics?
We're averaging anywhere from 25 to 28 arches through the patient service side, and we do anywhere from 4 to 7 arches per month through the training program at this point.
I love that. And, one of the things I came down and met you and your team with Nick and Jeremy was a lot of fun. I really admire, you could just do this yourself. You could do 25, 30 arches a month. You get to 50 arches a month. And that's what you could do with your dental career. And you would help so many patients. But you have also decided to train dentists so they can go and help patients. Dennis Harnow, I saw him speak. His quote, the reason why I help dentists is so they can go back and help more patients. And by helping that one dentist, I can help thousands of patients. So now tell us about your why for creating this training center for dentists.
That's a great point. I basically most likely did it the same reason you formed Dental Nachos. I wanted to build a network of dentists where we are not only working together, we're collaborating together, and you have a network. Being a dentist is very lonely, as you know,
Yeah.
and being an entrepreneur is even lonelier. So when you're struggling with all the challenges of, what implants are you going to be purchasing? Where do you get your impression material? Where do you market? How do you market? How do you look at your profit and loss and do cash forecasting and do your key performance indicators? So then I realized, I was like, how about if I build an institute where we're going to give dentists all the tools necessary in order to succeed while they make more money at the end of the day?
I love that mission, because I always say it's patient-centered care first and profit a close second, because if you cannot stay in business, if you cannot pay your team, you cannot help anyone. And I think dental school really does a disservice by not talking about the money part, because the money part is what allows you to grow, whether it's buying your first CBCT for some dentist, whether it's taking this training. So now let's break down the training, the dribbling, the shooting of this game. Who comes to the center? Talk about some dentists are watching now. Is this most of the time, Alex, a dentist who is familiar with placing some implants? Is that the type of dentist that you're training most of the time?
That's why I customize it, right? So we cannot have a cookie cutter approach to this. So we have the tiers, divided. We have the tier training for single implant training. These are for doctors that have never done an implant or want to learn how to do more implants.
So if it's your first implant, just a tier 1, your first implant, you can come and learn how to place your first implant. Or if you've taken a few other courses but never really launched it, this is for you.
Correct. And then the other option is tier 1B, in which at that point, we train you on full arches, and we do 4 to 7 full arches plus digital workflow in a weekend course.
Gotcha. Awesome. And then now once, let's say, I connect you with one of my friends, you guys can tag Evan Matthias. He's amazing. So what about for maybe someone who's dabbling in arches, doing 1 or 2 arches, but would love to do 5 arches and then 10 arches? Do you have a solution for them?
Yes, I do. That's why I formed tier 2, which is basically at that point, we're working together for 14 months. We're going to be teaching you. As you know, there's a difference between scale and scaling. So at that point, you're teaching them how to go from doing 4 or 6 arches to then doing 10 or 15 arches a month, because it takes more team members, different workflow. And at that point, you're teaching them more how to manage the business. So within that 14 months, I'm going to give you like a small scope of what it looks like. We're going to be doing practice analysis report. We're going to be doing forecasting. We're going to be training you not only surgically, but restorative. We're going to be training your treatment coordinators. We're going to partner you up with marketing solutions, with procurement solutions, with financial solutions, and the clinical solutions at the end of the day, which is what you need in order to make this grow.
I mean, that's where, I use this analogy, but it fits. That's the dribbling, the passing, the shooting, the floor game. Because I've seen, and I know it's not done with bad intentions, Alec, but I've seen dentists take a course clinically and have no idea how to implement it in their practice.
Correct.
The team doesn't know how to talk about it. They don't know. And then I don't want to say it's a waste because they have some skills, but they're never actually able to deliver the implants, the veneers, the sleep apnea appliances, the ortho. Have you seen that in your CE journeys where clinical skills don't translate into practice success?
Exactly. So the great thing about working with us and me being a doctor and the team with Jeremy and Nick and Alexis and Kevin is that we're going to push you to strive for greatness. We're just not going to leave you, like, take your money and just leave you out and dry and you never do an implant again. So that's what's so important about this course. And that's why I like it so much, because at the end of the day, I want to build partnerships with these doctors, because doctors are abandoned nowadays. You're like pretty much all alone. So you're talking about basketball, right? So how many analysts evaluate a basketball game and who should be starting? Should it be Bam Adebayo playing center or power forward? So what advice do we have as dentists? Who's helping us get there? And that's why I believed in this dream and this vision, and that's why I created the Implants for All Institute.
I love that. I mean, you guys are putting together something that dentistry needs. It's going to add more fun to practices. It's going to help the practice financially. And just like in the beginning of what we talked about, it's patient-centered. Now, we're going to do a course together September 29th, you in Fort Lauderdale. We're going to sponsor some nacho people to come. We're going to do a giveaway. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've been telling all the nacho dentists in Fort Lauderdale about it. This taste test course, when we do this, it's going to be a CE course. They're going to get the hotel included. We're going to do a hangout with us happy hour. What's your goal to deliver to the audience during these CE courses? Whether it's vision, whether it's part clinical, you've done these before. What are people going to learn at this course?
Great point. So they're going to be receiving a success manual at that course. They're going to meet the whole team. They're going to know more about the Implants for All Institute. One of my biggest core values is transparency. So you're going to be able to talk to me. You know, we're going to talk to the team. Everybody's going to be there together. And you're going to get the success manual that is basically going to help you and guide you in the point of, do you want to make, you know, an additional $35,000 to $40,000 a month take home while only doing 5 arches a month, while doing 5 arches a month. So we're going to understand we're going to understand your business, and I'm going to bring out a lot of points for you to understand your business a lot better that no one else teaches you in any other consulting or training program.
I love it. I mean, and as what we do with Dentist Job Connect too, and Dental Nachos, you have to create space for this awesomeness inside of your practice. Because if you're booked out with fillings and you're booked out with crowns, maybe you need to add an associate along the way. I mean, there's so many things they just don't teach dentists. It's actually poignant and sad to me, because dentists sometimes accumulate more stuff to do and they become too busy to even enjoy it. So how are you going to manage this growth? And I'm sure, I mean, what were some of the growing pains as you went from 10 to 20 arches? I'm sure while it could be awesome, it must come with some challenges. Whether is that team, is it marketing? Tell us a little bit about that.
It was long hours. I would have to say I was putting 12 to 14 hours a day, because I was the hardest thing as a GP, unless you have a strong associate, which that's one of the biggest advices I can give all the doctors that are listening to right now. Don't make the business dependent on you. You got to learn how to train, and you got to learn how to coach your associate docs, so then they can become a reflection of you, right? So we got to follow the rule of 3. So basically what ends up happening is, like, you're going to have challenges of, do I add more team members? Do I need to add more surgical techs? What are the costs that are impacting us by doing this growth? Because I literally went from 3 to 5 to then 10 to 15 to over 20 arches. And that all happened within a year and a half.
Yeah, because what's awesome and exciting is, once you become known for doing this, people tell their friends. I mean, I believe, I love marketing. We have direct mail, we have internet marketing, but I love that, the people who need this care, they also know other people who need this care. And maybe the one friend from the coffee group who goes to Dr. Plains first and comes back and they say, wow, your teeth look great. And I think that's what gets them over the hump. And I think there's a lot of not fun parts of dentistry, Alex, as we both know. And this is a fun part, right? Transforming lives. We all said we want to get into this for helping people. And I'm just really proud to be partnered with you guys. We're going to do this course in Fort Lauderdale. People can text clinical to 215-543-6454. They can reach out to us at dentalnachos.com to learn anything about what you do. Tell us, before we wrap up, Alex, is there anything I missed? You're talking the Dental Nachos universe. Is there any mission, vision, core value I missed that you want to inspire them, motivate them? It's your floor.
Well, one thing I want to share, Dr. Goodman, is like as dentists, we all get burnt out. I was working, long hours doing GP. The income was great, but I was burnt out. My neck was killing me. My lower back was killing me. So I'm sure out there people can relate to the pains that I was going through. And learning how to do full arches and implementing it in my practice, it basically gave me another 20 years behind the chair to impact lives and impact others. So one thing, if you're having hesitation and you're burnt out, which I'm sure a lot of you are, this is what's right for you and this is what you got to do. And the sooner you do it, the better it's going to be, because there is a learning curve. So you're not going to go from 1 to 20 arches, and we don't expect that, but we're going to guide you and coach you along the way.
Love that mission. So proud to be partnered with you guys. Excited for our course.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing with us today, Dr. Plains.
Thank you, Dr. Goodman.